And it's actually from the book of Esther in the Bible, of all places. It talks about Mordecai, who was a leader in that time.
A leader is also a light in the darkness.
I think differently, and now I believe in myself because I'm around him, and I think even more is possible.
Welcome back to Leading Lubbock, where we highlight the voices shaping our city and beyond through service, purpose, and influence. Today I'm joined by Lily Scarborough, a junior at Kingdom Preparatory Academy who's been at KPA since pre-K. Lily's deeply involved in student leadership, varsity athletics, and community service. She's a two-time volleyball captain, district defensive player of the year, academic all-state athlete, and part of the HYPE program serving Lubbock. But more than all of that, Lily leads with intentionality, humility, and a heart for others. In this episode, we talk about servant leadership, creating a culture of encouragement, what she's learned from her family, and how she keeps Christ at the center of it all. Ready to jump into this conversation with Lily Scarborough? Let's dive in. Thanks so much for being on the show today. I'm really excited to get to sit across from you and get to chat with you for a little bit.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's Tuesday afternoon. You're a student at KPA.
Yes, sir.
What are you typically doing on 12 o'clock on a Tuesday?
Well, generally I'm doing some homework. I got busy days, but then I'll have athletic period later, but nothing too crazy these days.
Yeah.
Just working.
Well, you're kind of used to the crazy. It's
Yes,
probably
sir.
crazy in most people's minds, but you've lived it long enough. It's normal for you now.
Fast-paced lifestyle.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I'm excited to get to talk leadership with you.
Yes, sir.
Ben is who nominated you, and I really look up to Ben. I think he's an awesome person. So anybody that he sees as a leader, it just makes me excited to have these kind of conversations and get to hear your insights. And so I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, so fun.
Yeah. So what does being a good leader mean to you? And how do you think your ideas about leadership have changed as you've grown up?
Yeah, I think being a leader to me is a lot of self-reflection, where it's like being able to take a step back and look at yourself and self-evaluate to see how you're leading well. And just having correction outside yourself and not being so like inwardly focused. I think it's the tendency is to be selfish and be like selfish with your time and your energy. But I think a good leader like strives for being unselfish and looking at others. I think for me, simply like showing up and showing your willingness to work is really important to me. So at our school, like athletic periods or like showing up early to practice is important to me because I feel like if I'm willing to show up, then that just encourages other people too even more. I think showing your encouragement and working hard is a big deal. I think a little encouragement could go a long way. You never know when somebody's going to need that little push that day. And I think like a leader is listening to their teammates or their coworkers and working to improve their circumstances or even not, or just a good ear to listen to, ready to help.
And that's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you have more to that, or is
Yes,
okay.
I have a little more.
I don't want to interrupt these thoughts. These are good.
I think so. I mean, I'm a high school athlete, just in my sport. Just being a leader on the team, I think it's more than the sport. Like it's not all about volleyball. It's not about like your talents in that. I think the person behind the sport is so valuable. And as an upperclassman this past year, I went to treat the underclassmen how I wanted to be treated, or how you would want to be treated when you're not in a like a place of authority.
Yeah, for sure.
I think I want to create a culture that makes people want to join. I want to like have a culture of work ethic and good attitudes that like just uplifts people and helps them just like thrive. And I think I want to live in a way that reflects Jesus, and I want people to ask where my joy comes from, or how you find the inspiration to work hard. I think like being a leader doesn't always mean like you're winning. Like you don't on a team you go through all these roller coasters just in one game or in a whole season, but persevering through that loss and like just being there, whether you're winning or you're losing, or everyone's happy or they're sad, is I think goes a long way for for like a bunch of high school girls.
Yeah. That's awesome. Just so you know, like if you grow up with these same ideas and understandings of what leadership is, I hope someday you have your own business, because it sounds like the perfect place to go work. I mean, I think you'd be a phenomenal leader, because what you're talking about are attributes, of leadership on the high school level, and when you're talking about basketball programs and teams and all of those things, they've got to be really important in order for you to work together, in order for you to influence people who are coming up behind you, and so your mind is set on all the right things. And I'm like, man, if you just keep that going, like that's gonna be incredible, because that's all we need, or I need, as I lead a company here.
Yes,
like
sir.
Those are the attributes that I look for and that I long for individually. So that's really amazing. One of the things, I mean, there's some really cool things that you said in there, but one of the concepts was being selfless and not doing things for like a selfish gain, but being selfless. And I heard that a couple ways. One, you talked about it like directly, but then you said you want to be Christ-like.
Yes, sir.
And so what does that look like for you? Like as you're playing sports and as you're leading at your school and even in your family, your friends, like what does it look like to be selfless, to live more like Jesus?
I mean, it's really hard. It's really hard to be like, I just want to live like Jesus, because no one can. But I think it's I really work hard to like have a smile or encourage others. I want to be like the light in someone's day. But I think talking to people or getting outside your comfort zone, like sometimes it's telling a worker at a restaurant, you're like, oh, I like your shoes, I like your glasses, like a little compliment here and there that helps someone, that just gives them a little light in their day. Because you never, like, you don't know about people you don't know.
Yeah.
It's a different world for others. I think also, like, growing up, like, learning through my parents about, like, just leadership in general, I think they taught me to be selfless. I think it's a core value of our family, and I learned two types of leadership. It was, like, positional and servant. So, like, positional leadership, you're elevated by status. Like, you're put there, you might be in a position, but people follow you because they feel like you're an authority. But I've always been taught servant leadership. So it's like you are respected and you have the right to lead by serving others. So I think that comes with the selfless aspect, that like working alongside your teammates or collaborating, encouraging, and like constantly being there for others creates a servant leader that I think is where like the selflessness comes in.
Wow.
Big time.
Yeah, and that's good. So you said you talked about this in your family, or maybe did you see that modeled by your parents?
Yeah, definitely. My family has a family business that they've run for a while, and I think growing up, my dad ran the business for a long time, and seeing how he had a personal relationship with his employees, and he was like in a positional leader like position, but he was a servant leader. He gained their respect by like working hard and showing the good work ethic. And I think with two older siblings too, I've seen them growing up on teams or in individual sports, and I got to see them just like lead well in those areas. And I think they've just set a great example that I've gotten to come behind and follow.
Yeah. I love hearing about like how you got to watch your dad lead a company or a business, and you're probably starting to witness like just key things about like what he does, even as he talks about it at home. Probably same thing with your siblings. I would imagine you get to listen in on some of those conversations about what's going on. Were there ways that you saw your parents model leadership at home with you guys, you and your kids?
Yeah, I definitely think my parents were very focused on intentional conversations. So like when we sit around the dinner table, all five of us, it's not just this normal conversation. We want to be intentional and just have Christ-centered conversations that push each other and challenge, but also we're just cultivating a healthy relationship. So like if we're on a car drive, me and my mom we'll talk about like, how's your heart today? Like what are you learning recently? Or with my dad, the same thing. And I think it inspired me to be that with my friends. Like I don't want to just be at home this really intentional person, but I think being intentional with my friends in other ways goes a long way. So I think just being intentional with all of them created this just inspiration to be the same outside of my home too.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, even thinking about like you pulling up and talking to somebody at the drive-thru, right, and complimenting
Yeah.
something about them is probably even just a byproduct of the intentionality that you're showing at home with each other, at school. I think it just like trickles into the other parts of your life when you're just pulling in to order something. So
Yeah, definitely.
that's really awesome. Yeah. Did your siblings play sports?
Yes, my brother played golf. He's played golf his whole life. He played for a few years in college, and my sister played volleyball for a while.
Okay.
But so my brother I saw him through highs and lows of big successes in golf, and then not so great successes here and there. But I think he showed me how to be a consistent leader with his team, or he wasn't always on a team, but when he was, to be just a steady person for others.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you play basketball?
Yes,
correct?
basketball and volleyball.
And volleyball.
Yes,
okay.
sir.
So right now, what are you doing?
I'm in club volleyball right now, so
Okay.
that's kind of a year-round thing. And so busy with that. Just finished basketball last week.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
yeah, it's
Okay.
fun.
What do you enjoy the most? Like, what do you, even if it's not sports, what are you enjoying right now? What's good?
I love my sports. They keep me busy, but I really enjoy fly fishing in the summer.
No way.
Yes, me and my dad and my brother and sister, he taught all of us to fly fish, and we go to our cabin in Colorado, and it's so much fun. We love it.
Where at in Colorado?
It's outside Antonito. It's called Horka. It's like a little neighborhood,
Wow,
but it's
that's
really
cool.
pretty there. We love it.
Do you know Dusty Thompson? You familiar with that
I
name?
think I've
or-
heard the name.
Okay, so Dusty was on the show actually a
Oh,
couple
yes,
weeks ago.
Dusty. No, I know.
And Dusty loves to fly fish. So we were talking about fly fishing on here too. Cause
Yeah.
it's something I enjoy doing, but I don't do it enough. Like I get one trip usually a year with some good friends of mine. But
Yeah.
that's awesome. I love
Yeah,
hearing that.
it's so fun.
Especially when you're doing it together with family.
It
There's
really
something
makes it
about
special.
that. Very cool. Do your siblings like to fly fish as well?
Yes, they do. We
Okay.
always have a little competition to see who can catch the most.
That's
Normally
awesome.
it's my dad. He whoops us every
Yeah,
time.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Okay, so what important moment in your life has helped shape who you are today? I know we want to keep talking about fly fishing, and I could go there for a while, but I wanted to keep going on the leadership topic.
I really think I really just think my family, just in general, just leadership. It's what we're taught as kids, and I think some people come by it naturally, and some people are put in that position. But I think just being a core value of my family, it's just what I've been taught. It's how I've grown up, and I don't know if it's a key moment necessarily, but I think just watching my family just represent that really just taught me my whole life.
Yeah. Do y'all talk about leadership? Like the word leadership, does it come up in your family?
Yes, sir. It's pretty consistent. Now it's just me at home, but when it's just our whole family or not, it's really a present topic where it's, even if you're having a bad day, like, go and be a good leader. And
Wow.
servant and positional leadership has always been a topic in our home that it comes up a lot, where we just want to, my parents just instilled in us this just striving to be a good leader.
Yeah. I think that's so fascinating because, one, it's exciting that you're on the show that's called Leading Lubbock,
Yes,
right?
sir.
Because it's all what it's about is leadership, and not even just a positional leadership like what you're talking about, but how do you be a leader in your everyday life?
Yeah.
But to hear you talking about, like, that's what your family talks about, I think as a family, like, there's certain values that Haley and I talk to our kids about, but I wouldn't say leadership is always one that is on repeat.
Yeah.
But now that you're talking about it, it's like, why not? Because it shows up everywhere, and especially if you're living out of this, like, servant-hearted leadership, then it is being a good person. It is giving out of generosity. It is, being okay to share these things like toys and share time. And so there's so many principles that come out of it. But I just think it's fascinating that your family brings up the word leadership often. And it's really neat because it seems like it's impacting you.
Yeah.
Like you are being changed and molded by the conversations that your family's having.
Yeah.
So
I think it's also like when we find success in volleyball or that stuff, I think they've taught me like it's not about you. Like it's not about my accomplishments. It's all directed for the Lord. Like I'm not trying to be a good leader so people will be like, "Oh, I love Lily. She's the best." I don't want that praise. It's just for the Lord that I'm like wanting to be this, because that's how we want to live, reflect Christ. And I think that's how they've taught me that it's not about me that I'm leading or doing this. It's about the Lord.
Man. Okay. So good. Is there anything that you believe adults should keep in mind to lead at their highest level?
I think for me, it's remembering how you felt when you were first starting, or where you started, where you grew up, and like in a business, if you're starting at the bottom and you build your way all the way to the top, like remembering the people that encouraged you when you're at the bottom, and like people, like leaders have a responsibility because people just naturally look to them, but remembering like who inspired you and who set an example that you want to follow, or who set one that you didn't want to follow, that like how you can learn from your experience and others to grow yourself and help, just remembering the little guy that needs the encouragement.
Yeah, which is just putting yourself in somebody else's shoes, right?
Yeah.
And like remembering I too was there.
Yeah, definitely.
At one point in time. That's good, and I think there's humility that comes out of that.
Definitely.
And again, I mean, I think we could circle back. All of these concepts we can circle back to Jesus, and being on that walk in life of this humility, servantness, and like literally putting yourself in somebody else's place. Like,
yeah, definitely.
Which is what he did, right?
Yeah.
And so that's neat that you've got that mindset. I agree with you. I think it is wise as a leader, as an adult, whether you're leading younger people at school or a basketball team or a football team or in the workplace.
Yeah.
Right. It's just understanding who your audience is and where they're sitting right now. And I think a lot of times we can lead from expectations. Mm-hmm. Just like, I expect you to be at this level, and I expect you to be producing this or making these many shots, or scoring this many touchdowns. And yet I think it's interesting because I interviewed another 18-year-old a little while back, and from what I remember, like from this question was a very similar answer of like, know who you're talking to, and know where they're at. So it makes me want to like dive in a little bit further into that of like, what are kids thinking? Or I'm even thinking young kids, like what are my kids thinking of like, don't you see me? Don't you see where I'm at? And maybe just having too much expectations instead of like getting curious about where they are. Because if that's a theme that I'm starting to hear of like a younger generation, then I'm like, maybe we need to open our eyes a little bit to how we're leading. So
yeah,
thank you for sharing.
Yeah, I think it's so cool, like growing up in middle school, like you start at the bottom and then you're at the top, and then you start over in high school at the bottom and you're at the top. And it's just remembering like the people that I really looked up to, or that I wanted to be different than, I think is important. Well,
I mean, that stair stepping, or like up and down and up and down. I mean, I think about it from, what you're talking about, like elementary to middle school to high school to college, right? You're going to be back down at the bottom once you're at the top of college. You're going right back to the bottom. And then you go into the workplace and you're like the rookie and the newbie. And so you start like leveling up. And I'm wondering if like you have that perspective of like put yourself in their shoes and know where they're at as you're leading people, like remembering that you too were there, because you're kind of teeter-tottering back and forth between like being the top guy to the new guy to the and you're doing that for a while until you get into business, and then all of a sudden you're just moving up, right? You never sometimes you'll probably go back down again somehow and level, and but I think many leaders are at that level for so long they might forget, what it's like.
Yeah, definitely. I think
to be beginning again.
Yeah, at my age, you see a lot of the stair step. Yeah. But as you get older, it just keeps going.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I want to like remember that, and I think it's a good lesson for me as a leader too, to like remember what it was like to be, for me, a new real estate agent, right?
Yeah.
As I'm leading new agents. So
Yeah, definitely.
very good. Okay, well, what kind of impact or difference do you want to make in the world?
I think first and foremost, I want others to see Jesus in me, in my actions and my words, in my treatment of others as a friend, as a sister, as a daughter. I want that to be the first thing that people see in me. And I think I want to be a leader who serves and engages in things that make a difference. I want to go out there and make a difference for the Lord and let people see that through me and be that light.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Are there things that you do regularly, like on a daily basis, to keep that like in the forefront of your mind, to be reminded of this is the type of person and the difference that I want to make in the world?
Yeah. I mean, I go through, I read a chapter of the Bible, a chapter, a section every day just to keep, I think the word is alive and active. And I think getting into that was a spiritual discipline that I've had to learn, but, I think it's helped me grow a lot. And, I have verses on my mirror that I like to keep in mind, but I think prayer for me is big. It's just the little things that I'm like, help me stay active today. Help me stay in your word. I invite you in this day just to be that leader for the Lord.
Yeah. Is this a morning something you're doing?
Yes,
daily?
sir. I get up and then I read my Bible, and then I think it's just a good benchmark for the day. It's how I start my day every day, and I think it sets a precedent for just remembering who I serve during the day.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to ask you a question that was not on the list that I gave you.
Okay.
But how would you encourage, or what encouragement would you give to your peers who are like, maybe seeing you as a leader and thinking like, oh, I would hope to aspire to be like with that level, leading with that level of grace and that level of selflessness and servant-heartedness, of like, how would you encourage them? Maybe like, would you do something? Like, would you encourage them to wake up and do something that would keep Jesus on the forefront? Or would you have this thought when you're interacting with somebody to help ground you and keep reminding you about why you're doing what you're doing? How would you encourage your peers?
I think I'd definitely say, like, stay in the Word. You can, I think, learning more and keeping your faith first is really important. But I also think your age doesn't matter. Like, you can be a freshman and be a leader in high school. I think wherever you are, you can be a leader in that. But just remembering, I think a thought I would say would just be, I'm trying to think. I think just like keeping Jesus at your forefront. Like, is this action reflecting the Lord? And I mean, I'm not holier than thou. I am no way imperfect in that in any way. But I think keeping that in your mind is important in how you're treating others if you're like looking for that leader.
Yeah. And I think even at that point of like, I'm not holier than thou, I think that's the reason why it even came to my mind is like, it's hard on a daily basis, and even for you probably, to keep your mind centered on things that are holy or things that are good or things that are righteous, because life is like, it comes at you.
Yeah.
And it's easy to get discouraged. It's easy to get frustrated. It's easy to get, it's easy to even be tempted to want to get ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's got to be the little things and practices and habits that ground us, that keep us grounded in why are you doing what you're doing, and remembering that. And so I think for you, like, what I hear is just keeping like Jesus, just keeping Christ on the forefront. And it's probably not perfect, like you said. I mean,
not at all.
So yeah, it's challenging, and yet it still steers you in the right direction, right?
Yeah.
It's not an overnight immediately you flip a switch and everything's better, but yet it's like gradual little turns.
Yeah,
so.
Definitely.
Okay, awesome. Are there any careers or fields that you're interested in? What's the future look like for you at this moment in time?
I've always wanted to be a child life specialist. And so when my brother was in the hospital a lot when he was little, And so I saw a child life specialist come in and help him understand procedures and find the happy times during hardships. And they were just an understanding ear when he was down or when he wasn't doing well, and he needed that extra like kick of encouragement. And I always thought it was so cool, and I love kids, and I think that's a way. I think in every career you can be a light for the Lord, but I think that's a way, just with a passion for kids, and I think that would be a way to encourage others in that career.
That's awesome. That would be a really cool job. What do you want to go to a certain school, or you kind of get your eyes set on something yet?
I'm not too sure yet. I've got a few on my list, but I have nothing too planned right now.
Okay. So you're a junior, is
Yes,
that right?
sir.
Okay, so get your senior year ahead of you.
Yeah, I got a little more time.
Yeah. Well, that's incredible. Do you feel like, going back to the child life specialist, that there's something about the care for a child specifically that gets you excited?
Yeah, I think I've been in a few like service projects or something like that when you get to go serve some kids, and I love it. If we like do face painting at our fall festival and you just draw a cupcake on some kid's face, they just love it. And I think just seeing that light is so impactful to me. Like the childlike faith and all they know is that Jesus saved their life and he's their savior, and I think it's such a precious time, and I think to make that impact on them is so sweet. And I have a passion for kids.
That's incredible, because I think they look up to you, I imagine, when you're taking that much care and interest in a cupcake on their face. Like, you're the best person in the world at that point. Like, you're it. And then to be able to like influence them in a positive way when you've captured their heart and their attention, like, you can do so much with that.
Yeah, definitely.
And not everybody there's probably a lot of people listening into the podcast, not necessarily watching it, but I can see like a light in your eyes that just like came alive whenever you started talking about kids. And so it's really cool that you have that kind of passion. And I do think whenever they feel that, they're going to be more responsive to you, and then you get to just be a leader over and over again.
Yeah.
In their hearts and in their minds, because they just look up to you so much.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's incredible.
It'd be very exciting.
Yeah.
It'd be cool.
I think that would be right up your passion alley, I can tell. How about a book that's changed your life? I know I gave you this question. It's always a tough one because you got to pick one, and then I change it up a little bit and I say you can't say the Bible because I don't want to repeat that one over and over again because I know it's impactful.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what did you land on?
Yeah, so I'm not a big reader. We read a lot of classics at our school, which I really enjoy. And to say this book changed my life I wouldn't say it changed my life, but it got me thinking. I think it was just really interesting. So I really loved A Tale of Two Cities.
Okay.
I think it's my favorite book I've ever read. But just like the story and the themes and the characters, like the depth in them was so interesting to me. And I loved it.
I haven't read it. What grade were you in when you read this?
I read this year, so I read it like 3 months ago.
Okay.
And it was so good. It has like mysterious elements where you're waiting to find out what happens, and it has a big redemption part in the end, which I think you would have never expected it because just the plot twist, but I think the redeeming qualities just makes it so cool.
Isn't that cool that that's what a good story is like a story of redemption?
Yeah.
And those are the ones that captivate us. I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan.
Oh, yeah.
I never thought I would be because I'm not like a big sci-fi or fantasy, I guess is probably the better. It's not sci-fi, but a fantasy reader or movie watcher. And yet the Lord of the Rings really got me. And I think it's that same thing of like, this quest.
Yeah.
But also the story of redemption at the end, it just relates to our longings, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
People. And so that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, our kids also go to KPA, so that's currently where you're going to school.
Yes, sir.
And so I'm sure, several years down the road, we'll be picking that book up.
Oh,
and
they'll be lucky.
Into it. Well, that's awesome. I'll have to give that a read as well.
Yes, sir.
And we are going to give Okay.
You got to get into it.
Okay,
and then
it's one of
it's
those
really,
short starts. Like
yes,
slow
you gotta
starts.
get like halfway through the book, and then you're like, this is the best book I've ever read.
That's good to know, because sometimes I'll read for a little bit and I'm like, nope, that's not the book for me, and I'll put it away. So that knowing that I need to make it through the halfway point, that's
Yes,
good
sir.
info. Well, awesome. Okay, last question, and my favorite question
Yes, sir.
is, if you could define leadership in one sentence, what would that be?
I think leaders are present and involved, and they're servant-hearted, and they're selfless and humble, and hardworking, and they're mindful of an example they set for others. They think about that and try to display it best.
Yeah. So hardworking, mindful, servant-hearted.
Yes, sir.
I know you mentioned a lot of things in there,
Yeah,
and those are all really good reminders, because it's easy to get off the path,
yeah,
right?
definitely.
It's easy to want to be idle for a little bit. It's easy
Yeah.
to want to be closed-minded and just think about myself and not think about other people. So I think visiting with you today are really good reminders for me of what it looks like to put Christ first, put others above myself, be mindful of where they are in their journey, in their walk. And I think it's okay for us to give up the glory.
Yeah,
And I think often we want to sit in that, or we want to experience the feeling of major accomplishments, and yet, I don't know, looking at somebody else in their life and their position and what it means for them, it changes things. It changes why we do what we do, and we probably get more gratification from it too whenever we're celebrating somebody else
yeah,
than we are celebrating us.
yeah.
So, well, thank you for coming on, Lily. This was exciting. I had a lot of fun in our conversation, and I knew I would. And I'm glad I got to meet you and get to know more about your story.
Yes,
So,
thank you for having me.
absolutely.
Awesome.
You're going to go far.
Thank
I
you.
am excited, and I can't wait to see in 20 years what you're doing and the lives you've changed along the way. And the cool thing about leadership is you don't even know the degree to which you change people's lives.
Yeah.
Because eventually, and I think you're already doing it, but you'll be leading an organization or a family or, friend group, and then they're impacted by you, and then impacting other people. And so I just think it's amazing that what you're doing it has ripple effects. So keep it up.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for coming on the show, and look forward to chatting with you again.
Yes, sir. Look forward to it.
Sounds good.